The following is a 95.1, 94.9 The Oasis presentation.
We love all cars, but we have a particular passion for the rare, high-performance and collector cars. The monthly Motorsports Gathering is a reflection of that. This is the Scottsdale Motorsports Gathering.
Good morning. We're here at the Scottsdale Motorsports Gathering in January with a week to go to auction week here in Scottsdale. So who better to have than the gentleman who started the whole thing here, Barrett-Jackson.
Well, thank you. Actually, it was my father and Tom Barrett, but yes, this whole week, Barrett-Jackson started it 47 years ago, and it is the epicenter.
It certainly has become the epicenter of auctions in North America and even worldwide. So, Craig, let's find out a little bit about you personally. Tell us something that I think everybody will want to know. What was your very first car?
I still have it. 1966 Pontiac Le Mans was my grandmother's car, and I got it the end of my sophomore year. I spent between my sophomore and my junior year painting it and doing what we did to cars back then, putting headers and a cam in it, and it's about ready to go into its next life and get resto modded. But I kept the car the entire time.
That's very, very interesting. Many of us wish we'd have kept our very first car, and especially with what they may be worth now. I know you have quite the collection of cars. How many do you personally have?
65. I just acquired 2 this week.
2 more this week, 65. Tell me, do you have a favorite?
Well, I think I just took delivery of my Ford GT a couple days ago. That's a pretty cool car. Prior to that, I would have said the Veyron in the modern cars or the Hemi Cuda convertible in the muscle cars, but it's like picking your best child. I own them because I love them. I love driving the 427 Cobra. That's also one of my favorites. It's really hard to pick your favorite. Favorite road car would be the car we were just talking about, driving the 71 Daytona Ferrari. I love that as a road car.
Well, there are a lot of us right now that are just drooling and very, very envious. Craig, we're very happy to have you here. We know you're going to be busy as anything next week. How many cars will cross the block at your auction next week?
We are at 1,761, I believe, as of last night, which is a record for us. After working with the city to pave another right about 4 acres out there, we're able to fit every car on asphalt now, so we expanded the docket. And really, since '07, I would say this is the greatest docket we've had, excluding when we sold Ron Pratt as that collection. But as just regular consignment auction, a spectacular docket.
Well, congratulations, and you certainly deserve it. What do you expect to be the most valuable car?
Well, the Talbot Lago that is down here, the Salchuk-bodied Grand Sport Talbot Lago, definitely could be one of the highlights, but selling the first Ford GT available at public auction that Ron Pratt donated, who knows what that car could bring.
Especially when one sold for $2 million a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and he got his hand slapped over it. This one's an officially sanctioned. You can buy the car, Ford's blessing, all the money's going to charity. You write the check. It's also a tax write-off. You write the check straight to the 501c3 of Ray Eberham's, and you get the tax deduction for everything over MSRP.
So for those of you out there who weren't lucky enough to get on the official list for Ford, here's your chance. It'll cost you a couple of bucks more, but it's one hell of a car, as Craig says. Tell us about some of the other very special cars you're going to have.
Well, we brought some of them here today. The 66 Shelby VIN number 1 prototype from Shelby. That's a very cool car. In the muscle car world, having a 69 ZL1 Hugger Orange, the last known Hemi Cuda ever made. Beautiful blue car, 4-speed, but that was the end of the era with that exact car. In the exotics, the Steve Todd Hunter collection, where we've got all sorts of modern exotics, great classics across the board in our salon, from early Ghosts to L29 Cords, and just a great selection of cars across the board. You know, in the probably one of the best selections of Shelby cars we've ever had at the auction. A 65, the R model 65 GT 350R, the most winning GT 350R ever raced. And to have the 427 Cobra, also beautiful red 427 Cobra. It's just a great docket, and it goes on and on and on. And as we kept every day trying to close out the catalog, we would get a couple, 3 more great cars. Late entries, 1970 Buick Grand Sport 4-speed convertible, Hemi Superbird. The hits just kept on coming, and that sort of put us behind on the catalog. But just an unbelievable run that we are going to have at the auction, especially Friday, Saturday, is going to be something probably haven't seen since '07.
You mentioned the hits keep on coming, so that's a good segue into one of the things that you always have is you always have some very, very well-known celebrities at your auctions. Is there anybody that is confirmed for this year?
Yes, but we are not allowed to say who it is, but I would be there Saturday afternoon. It's going to rock the house. And into the evening. We're selling a couple of very special Corvettes for General Motors. And the normal celebrities, like last year, we hadn't planned on a lot of them. You never know who just comes because they're car people. And they just want to come to Barrett-Jackson. And, you know, it was a great year last year with Justin Bieber and Steven Tyler and Mayweather. That was in the last week. Mayweather decided to come. You know, having Michael Phelps come, greatest Olympian of all time. Burt Reynolds will be here again this year. So, you know, it's really hard every year to top it, but I think the guest we have coming Saturday will top it.
Let's give some advice to some of the people here. If you want to buy a car at auction, what do you think are some of the key things that people need to know before buying a car at auction?
Well, you know, at Barrett-Jackson, one thing we do is we have our in-house car specialists, which are very, very knowledgeable, but also having all of our experts. And I say experts, everybody can say they have an expert, but having the guy that runs the Pontiac Historical Services, who has all the build sheets vetting all the Pontiacs, and Kevin Marty vetting all the Fords, and on with Roy Sinar doing the Corvettes and Dave Weiss doing the Mopars, and having them there available for our seminars, which really people coming into the hobby can ask them a lot of questions. They're available. They look through all the paperwork prior to consigning the cars. They look at the cars physically when they show up. And for people that want to come to an auction, having people that are knowledgeable to ask questions about the car, that are definitively the experts in the field, Don Williams and the classics. We have some great people around us.
These seminars, can anybody go to them?
Absolutely. And that is part of, you know, at Barrett-Jackson every year we have about, not just Scottsdale, but across the nation, about 40% new people come into us at every event. So they see us on TV, they'll come as a spectator, then they'll decide, I want to get into this. And that's why we do the seminars, to educate people, because we want them to come into the hobby and feel like they've got somebody that's looking after them. We have to try to vet the cars. It's the owner's descriptions. We just try to verify that what they're saying is as accurate as we can tell.
Very interesting. You've done an analysis of the collector car market showing its performance. Is that something you're continuing to do?
Oh, absolutely. We look at the market in multiple ways, slicing and dicing all the data and looking at, from multiple data sources, what are the trends, what what's happening in the car market and the demographics of who's buying. In Connecticut, we had 200 millennial buyers, which, the next thing is when I took over the company, and we were primarily pre-war cars and some post-war, but now we really had to make that generational change for the baby boomers with the muscle cars and the European sports cars. Now we're embracing the X-Geners and the millennials, and you see it in the mix of cars we're selling. And that's by looking at the data and trying to really get your crystal ball out before you sell a car. What does everybody want? We were early adopters of resto mods, pickups, station wagons. They went on a heck of a run. Sport utility vehicles. We sold that K5 Blazer in Palm Beach for $225,000. We've been rocking the house with Fox-bodied Mustangs at $85,000. So car collecting keeps on moving, and you just got to keep changing with the times. Doesn't mean we don't sell the greatest muscle cars and classics still. It just means you have to change the percentage of them and keep moving forward.
For somebody who is going to start collecting and, they haven't got anything at the moment, they want to buy a couple of cars, just give us a couple of cars that you would think are going to appreciate in a good way for a beginner to get into the sport.
That's a tough question. I get asked that all the time. It depends on what you like. Do you like European cars? Do you like American cars? And what do you want to use the car for? Is always the second question. If you just want to go to car shows and a place like this, Cars and Coffee, and the rest of the time the car's going to sit in the garage, it's okay if you get a nice numbers matching car. If you want to use a car and go out and drive it all the time, either get a number 3 driver car or get a resto mod so that you have something that's very dependable. It all depends on your goals, and it also depends on, how many people do you want to take out in the car? How far do you want to drive it? There's a lot of things, and how technical are you on working on a car?
Very true.
I've sold some great cars to some great guys that weren't that technically inclined, and you get out in the middle of nowhere and it breaks down and you're just looking at it going, when it's something simple.
There's a
lot
few
of
of us who have
times.
been in that position.
So we try to match people, and that's part of people talking to us, going to these events, trying to educate people, and we talk a lot about that in our seminars, to try to match people with their goals and what they want with the proper type of car. If you want to go do the Colorado Grand, you got to get a car that'll be eligible for it. If you want to go race Monterey, you got to get a car that'll be accepted into Monterey. You can't just say, well, I went and bought a race car. Well, it's not eligible.
Well, thank you very much, Craig. We really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on down, and best of success for next week.
Yeah, it's going to be a big year. People, please go online, get your tickets ahead of time so you're not waiting at the gate. And also, we have lifts set up there, so if you want to take lift to and from the auction, they'll be right at the front entrance. It's going to be a spectacular year, and we look forward to it. Thank you.
Don't miss the largest concentration of exotic sports cars in the country. Concourse in the Hills on Saturday, February 10th at Fountain Hills Park. A free event benefiting the Phoenix Children's Hospital.